If the mountains could whisper, would you dare to listen? Colorado is known for its breathtaking peaks, golden aspens, and crisp mountain air. But hidden beneath the snow-capped silence lies something else, something that never left. In this video, we'll take you deep into 10 haunted places where history and ghosts still walk side by side, where the wind in the Rockies doesn't just howl, it remembers. 1. Stanley Hotel, Estes Park. At first glance, the Stanley Hotel looks like the kind of place you'd visit for mountain views and old-world charm. Nestled in Estes Park, its white facade and manicured lawns feel more like a postcard than a horror story. But stay the night, and the cracks begin to show. Built in 1909, the hotel was supposed to be a luxurious getaway. What it became, however, is something else entirely. Stephen King stayed here in the 1970s, and after one eerie night in room 217, he walked away with the inspiration for The Shining. That alone should say enough. But the stories didn't end with the novel. Many guests report hearing a piano playing late at night in the music room, a soft, deliberate melody. Only when they check the room is empty, the lid closed, no one there. Then there's the 4th floor. Originally housing the hotel staff, it's now notorious for ghostly activity. Guests describe hearing children laughing, footsteps above their heads when no one is upstairs, and seeing misty figures drift across the hallway. Some have woken to find drawers open, their suitcases unpacked. The hotel doesn't shy away from its haunted reputation. In fact, they embrace it. Ghost tours run nightly, but even those who come just for the thrill often leave a little quieter, a little more watchful, as if something followed them out of the elevator but never got back in. Would you stay the night, or would you check out before the piano plays again? 2. Central City Masonic Cemetery. Central City high on a windswept hill, above the old mining town of Central City, lies a cemetery almost forgotten. No road signs lead you there. The path up is steep, lined with twisted pine and fading stone markers, some so weathered the names have vanished. This is the Masonic Cemetery, quiet, remote, and unsettlingly still. But once a year, it becomes the center of a mystery no one has ever solved. On the same day every spring, a woman in a long black dress is seen walking between the graves, not rushing, not lost, just moving with purpose. Her face is always hidden beneath a dark veil, and she always stops at the same headstone, the grave of a young man who died in the late 1800s. She stands there for minutes, sometimes an hour. Then she disappears. No one knows who she is. Local legend calls her the Lady in Black. Some say she was his fiancée, doomed never to marry. Others claim she's not a ghost, but something older, drawn back by a memory that won't fade, even in death. Attempts to follow her never work. She always vanishes into the trees, even when people try to intercept her. Photographs turn up blurred. One man who tried to touch her fainted before his hand reached her shoulder and swears he heard her whisper his name. The grave still stands, the town still watches, and the woman still comes. But only once a year. Would you wait for her? 3. Hotel Jerome. Aspen. Aspen may be known for ski resorts and luxury, but long before the tourists arrived, it was a silver town raw, booming, and unpredictable. And standing tall through it all was the Hotel Jerome. Built in 1889, the hotel was meant to be a symbol of elegance in the middle of a mining town. Red brick walls, velvet drapes, oil lamps flickering into the mountain night. It welcomed the rich, the powerful, and something else that never left. They call him Waterboy. The story goes that in the 1930s, a young boy drowned in the hotel's swimming pool. Some say he slipped. Others whisper he was left alone too long. The details change. But one thing doesn't. People still see him. Guests on the third floor often report a strange chill in the hallway, followed by wet footprints leading nowhere. Some claim to have seen a boy, no older than 10, standing alone near the elevator, his hair dripping, clothes soaked, eyes wide with something that isn't fear, but isn't peace either. He never speaks. When approached, he vanishes. Not like a flicker, not like smoke, just gone, as if he was never there. Staff members have grown used to the sightings. Some even leave towels by the pool at night, just in case. You can book room 310 if you're brave enough. But don't be surprised if the sheets feel damp in the morning and you hear soft splashes echoing from an empty pool long after midnight. Would you open the door if you heard small, wet footsteps stop right outside? 4. Molly Brownhouse, Denver. In the heart of Denver stands a beautiful Victorian home. Its brick walls warm with history, its windows catching the soft golden light of late afternoon. But step inside and something else lingers. This was the home of Margaret Molly Brown, the so-called unsinkable survivor of the Titanic. A woman known for her strength, her spirit, and, perhaps, her refusal to ever truly leave. Now, a museum. The Molly Brown House is open to the public, but guides and visitors alike speak of strange disturbances. Furniture shifts when no one's looking. Cabinets creak open. Cold drafts curl through rooms with no windows ajar. And then, the whispers begin. Faint, urgent, unintelligible. Some say they come from empty rooms. Others, from just over your shoulder. No one can ever quite tell what's being said, only that it feels personal, like a memory being spoken aloud. People report feeling watched, especially near Molly's bedroom. One guest swears a woman's perfume filled the room, though no one else was there. Another claims she turned to see a figure vanish through a closed door. Perhaps Molly's presence remains out of love for her home. Or perhaps some journeys are too unfinished to end. Would you stay long enough to listen to what she's trying to say? 5. Canon City, State Penitentiary Museum, Canon City, for over a century. The Colorado Territorial Correctional Facility in Canon City housed some of the state's most notorious inmates, murderers, thieves, men who were never meant to walk free again. Now, part of it stands open to the public as a museum. Visitors walk past old cells, rusted bars, faded mugshots. There's even a replica of the gas chamber. But the deeper you go, the more the air shifts, heavier, stiller, like the building itself is holding its breath. And some say it still remembers. Staff and tourists have reported shadowy figures moving in the corner of their vision, especially near the old death row. Dark shapes that flicker and then vanish. Cold spots that drift suddenly across a warm corridor. The sense of being watched is constant, as if someone or something is standing just behind you. But the worst are the chains. Multiple guests claim to have heard the clinking of shackles echoing through the hallway. even when no one else is around. Metallic, rhythmic, as though someone is still being marched down to judgment. One night guard quit after hearing a whisper through the intercom system from a cell that hasn't been used in 40 years. History was locked away here, but not everything stayed locked. Would you walk alone through the execution block after the lights go out? 6. Gold Camp Road Tunnels, Colorado Springs. Winding through the mountains outside Colorado Springs, Gold Camp Road once served as a vital route for transporting gold from the mines. Today, it's a quiet, scenic drive until the pavement ends and the tunnels begin. Carved through rock more than a century ago, the Gold Camp tunnels now sit in partial collapse. Moss creeps down their walls. Graffiti marks what little light touches. And when you step inside, all sound seems to vanish, as if the earth is swallowing your breath. Locals warn about tunnel number 3. It was closed after a reported collapse years ago. Some say it was caused by a school bus accident. No records confirm it, but the story has stuck. A bus full of children, buried under stone. And since then, strange things have followed drivers who dare to stop near the tunnel's entrance. Some hear tapping on their car, deliberate, rhythmic, like knuckles knocking against the trunk. Others return to find tiny handprints smeared across fogged windows. No footprints, no one nearby. It doesn't stop there. Engines stall, radios hiss static. Some say they've heard faint laughter in the dark, just before their headlights flicker and go out completely. No one stays long after that. Even in daylight, the tunnels feel wrong, too quiet, too watchful. So if you hear knocking on your car door while inside the tunnel, do you check the rearview mirror? Or do you drive and hope they don't follow? 7. The Broadmore Hotel, Colorado Springs. The Broadmore stands like a palace at the foot of the Rockies' pink stucco, shimmering chandeliers, and a private lake that mirrors the mountains. It's the kind of place where the wealthy come to forget the world. But there's one part of the hotel they'd rather you forget: the attic. Closed off for decades, the top floor of the Broadmore is sealed behind a locked door. Officially, it's no longer in use. Unofficially, it's where the footsteps never stopped. Multiple employees, night staff, security guards, even longtime managers have reported the same thing: the sound of slow, steady pacing above the top floor. Heavy footsteps that move from one end of the ceiling to the other. Sometimes they stop. Sometimes they follow. But no one is supposed to be up there. When checked, the attic is always empty, dust undisturbed, no footprints. And yet, the sounds return, especially between 2 and 4 a.m. Some staff refuse to patrol the upper halls alone. One housekeeper quit after hearing a voice call her name from a room that hadn't been entered in weeks. No one knows who or what walks above the guests. But the hotel never reopened that level. Not out of disrepair, out of respect. If the elevator doors open to a button that shouldn't exist, would you press it? 8. Fort Garland Museum. Fort Garland. In the quiet expanse of southern Colorado, surrounded by windswept plains and distant mountains, stands a place that feels suspended in time. Fort Garland was built in 1858 to protect settlers and trade routes. Among its most famous commanders was frontiersman Kit Carson, a name etched deep into the bones of the West. Today, the fort is a museum. The uniforms are behind glass. The rifles are unloaded. But something still marches after dark. Visitors and staff report seeing figures in faded blue, patrolling the perimeter just before midnight. Not actors, not illusions. Full-bodied apparitions of soldiers, moving with discipline, their heads bowed low, rifles slung over their shoulders. And then there's the smell. Out of nowhere, the sharp sting of gunpowder fills the air, as if a battle had just ended, though the courtyard stands empty. Some say it comes with the sound of distant boots on gravel. Others claim to hear the creak of leather belts and soft murmurs in voices long forgotten. One night, a museum worker closing up alone heard someone call out "halt" behind him. He turned, no one there. But the gate had swung shut. They say a soldier never leaves his post. And here, that might be more than just a saying. Would you stand in the parade yard at night and salute the ones who never left? 9. The Victor Hotel. Victor is a quiet mountain town, once roaring with gold and gamblers. Now, only remnants remain, and one of the most enduring is the Victor Hotel. Built in the 1890s, the hotel originally served as a luxury stopover for miners. But during the brutal winter months, it took on another role. The upper floors became a makeshift hospital, and, eventually, a place to store the dead until the ground thawed enough for burial. That cold silence never truly left. Guests today still check into the Victor Hotel, its antique charm drawing tourists and history buffs alike. But some leave with more than just photos. The elevator, an original cage-style lift, has a reputation of its own. It moves on its own, often stopping at the 4th floor, even when no one's inside. Staff have reported hearing it rattle open in the middle of the night, the hallway beyond completely empty. Others speak of figures standing silently in corners of their rooms, thin, pale, and dressed in hospital gowns. They don't move, they don't speak, but they're watching. One guest woke to find her suitcase unpacked and the closet door swinging slowly closed. Locals say the hotel remembers everyone who passed through, especially the ones who never checked out. Would you sleep peacefully, knowing someone else might already be in the room? 10. The Cripple Creek Jail Museum. Cripple Creek was once the heart of Colorado's gold rush, a town of miners, fortune seekers, and the inevitable outlaws who followed. To contain the chaos, the Cripple Creek Jail was built in 1901. Thick stone walls, iron bars, no second chances. Today, it's a museum. Visitors can walk the cell blocks, peer into solitary confinement, and read the names of criminals long gone. But some say, not everyone left when the doors were unlocked for good. The jail has a chill that doesn't come from lack of heat. Guides speak of sudden groans echoing through the corridors, low and human, as if someone were still pleading from inside a locked cell. But every room stands empty. Even more unsettling are the locks. Heavy iron doors are found unlatched in the mornings, though no one had the keys overnight. Some security cameras catch nothing. Others shut off entirely during these episodes. And then there are the shadows. One guest reported seeing a man in a striped prison uniform staring through the bars of cell number 3. When she looked again, it was just darkness. But the next morning, staff found handprints on the inside of the glass, too high for any child, too fresh to ignore. Cripple Creek's gold ran dry long ago. But the guilt, the rage, the unfinished sentences, they linger. Would you dare walk the hallway alone and listen for the cell that never truly closed? Colorado isn't just a land of mountains. It's a land of memories that refuse to blow away with the wind. The spirits here aren't angry. They're not loud. They're simply not ready to leave. So tell me this. If you had to spend one night in any of these haunted places, which one would you choose? Or more importantly, which one might choose you?